A woman takes her little boy to visit their dead relatives' gravestones at a cemetery. The little boy has never been to a cemetery before. The woman first takes her son to her grandmother Annie's gravestone. The initials under Annie's name say R.I.P. The little boy asks, "Mommy, what does R.I.P. stand for?" His mother replies, "It stands for a rest in peace. That means we wish for Grandma Annie's spirit to find peace in the afterlife." Then, they come across the gravestone of the woman's Uncle Joe. The little boy asks, "Mommy, what does R.I.H. stand for?" pointing to the initials printed under Uncle Joe's name. "We really didn't like Uncle Joe," said his mother. Some time ago, a man had 2 sons. As they got older, everyone quickly realized that Jackson was very sharp, while Blake was about as sharp as a spoon. They were both loved very much and cared for. As time went by, the father got sick and eventually passed away. Jackson called his brother on the phone and told him, "Listen, I have an enormously important business meeting I must attend, but I will get on the first flight home. Here are my credit card details. Please make sure Dad looks his best and gets everything money can buy for his funeral, spare no expense." He wasn't sure this was a great idea, given that Blake was, well, Blake, but he had no one else to call. Surprisingly, Blake took care of everything, and did it with a rather decent budget. Jackson was pleasantly surprised and the funeral went well, if a sad and emotional affair for all. A few months later Jackson calls Blake again. "Listen," he says. "I don't want to make accusations or nothing, but could it be that you are still using my card for about $300 every month? I can see it here on my credit report." "Of course not," said Blake, insulted. "I would never steal from you, you know that." "Yeah, I do," said Jackson, "but how do you explain these?" "Oh," said Blake, "I bet those are for Dad's tux. You said you wanted him to look his best, so I rented the most expensive suit in town." 3 retired gentlemen were sitting together, having coffee and talking about their life's experiences. Then one of them suggests they each relate their most exciting experience. The first, a retired sheriff, described the terrifying excitement of a shootout with Bonnie and Clyde back in his younger days. The other gents nodded and agreed that, indeed, would have been exciting. The second, a retired fireman, related the tale of a huge fire at the university several years back. There were flames, fire trucks from several area fire departments, and many damsels in distress to save. The other gents agreed that had to be a very exciting time. The third, a retired undertaker, started, "One night I got a call from the local Hilton Hotel to pick up a body. I got to the room with the body, which was under a sheet. So far so good, but when I got a look at the corpse, I had a problem. It had a huge bulge, if you know what I mean. I knew there was no way I could get him through the lobby like that. So I found an old broom and whacked that bulge just as hard as I could to make it go down." He paused. The retired fireman asked, "No offense, but how was that exciting?" The undertaker sighed and said, "Turns out I was in the wrong room." It was the 1930s and a rich banker and his wife were having dinner at a very fine restaurant when this absolutely stunning young woman comes over to their table, gives the husband a big kiss, says she'll see him later and walks away. His wife glares at him and says, "Who the heck was that?" "Oh," replies the husband sheepishly, "she's just my mistress." "Well, that's the last straw," says the wife. "I've had enough, I want a divorce." "I can understand that," replies her husband, "but remember, if we get a divorce it will mean no more shopping trips to Paris, no more wintering in Barbados, no more summers in Tuscany, no more expensive cars in the garage and no more yacht club. But the decision is yours." Just then, a mutual friend enters the restaurant with a gorgeous babe on his arm. "Who's that woman with Jim?" asks the wife. "That's his mistress," says her husband. His wife huffed. "Ours is prettier." In a small town there lived a gypsy psychic, who was known to read minds, do divinations, etc. One day, she went to shop for clothes. After trying all kinds of outfits, a salesperson approached her and asked if she can bring her some things. "Sure," said the psychic, and the girl went to get her dresses. When she came back, the psychic looked at the clothes and then raised an eyebrow. "There is no way these will fit me, they are all large." "I've been working at this a while," said the salesgirl, "believe me, I think these will fit you." "Nope." "No way," said the psychic. "How do you know if you haven't even tried them on?" said the frustrated girl. "Trust me," said the psychic, "I'm a medium." It was a regular day at first grade, and the teacher asked all the students to tell her something about what their parents do for a living. Some kids knew and gave a good description, while others didn't really understand their parents' jobs and gave vague descriptions or none at all. When they got to little Johnny, he stood up and said, "My dad cuts people in half." "Oh, really?" asked the teacher with a smile. "You mean he's a magician?" "I don't know," said Johnny. "A surgeon, maybe?" asked the teacher. "I don't know," repeated Johnny. "Then why do you think he cuts people in half?" asked the confused teacher. "Because I have 2 half-brothers and 3 half-sisters. There once was a cruel king who enjoyed executing whoever he pleased. A minister once gave him wrong advice. The king decided to have him killed. He ordered that the minister to be thrown to the ravenous and vicious guard dogs. The minister said, "I have served you loyally for 10 years and you do this?" The king was without mercy. The minister fell on his knees, pleaded, "Please give me 10 days before you throw me to the dogs." The king thought about it, weighed his curiosity versus his bloodlust, and finally agreed. In those 10 days, the minister went to the keeper of the dogs and told him he wanted to feed the dogs for the next 10 days. The guard was baffled, but he agreed. So the minister started feeding the dogs, caring for them, washing them, providing all sorts of comforts for them. When the 10 days were up, the king ordered that the minister be thrown to the dogs as sentenced. When he was thrown in, everyone was amazed at what they saw. The ferocious dogs were wagging their tails, playing with the condemned minister and even licking his feet. The king was baffled at what he saw. What happened to my vicious dogs? He growled. The minister then said, "I served the dogs for only 10 days and they didn't forget my service. I served you for 10 years and you forgot all of it at my first mistake." The king then realized his own great mistake. The next day, he replaced the dogs with crocodiles. Hey there, I put a lot effort into making these videos, so please subscribe for more jokes